Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, I guess, if you're watching this later in the day, and happy Thursday. So just as a reminder, your essays were due this morning by 9 a.m. So hopefully you got those turned in, but if you didn't, you need to make sure that you turn those in ASAP because they are going to be counted late, and it's 10% off every day that it's late. So please make sure that you get that in as soon as possible, because today we are moving into our new unit, and it is my absolute favorite unit of the year. I save it for last because I love it so much, and I love to end the year on this. So I'm really sad that we have to do this virtually, but I'm going to try to keep it entertaining and fun for you guys, even though I can't see you in person and do this fun thing with you. What we are doing and starting today is we are going to be studying Shakespeare's play, Romeo and Juliet. It is one of his most famous plays. All freshmen read it around the country. I read it as a freshman when I was going to Lincoln High School, and it is a great play. And we're going to try to have a lot of fun with it, even though we have to do it kind of virtually. So what we need to do before we start reading Shakespeare, though, is we need to talk about his language, because one of the things that makes Shakespeare so challenging is the way that he writes, okay? And that's what makes him kind of hard to understand. So we're gonna spend the next 2 days just kind of doing some activities together to get us used to the way that Shakespeare talks and help us understand his language a little bit more, so that when we actually start reading the play, you'll hopefully be able to understand what he's saying. So today, what I need you guys to do is you're going to have this worksheet that I have behind me here. You're going to need to have this worksheet, Demystifying Will's Words, open, because what we're going to do is, as I'm going through the notes for today, I'm going to have you pause the video at different increments and then go and fill out some things on this worksheet. Okay, so you're going to be filling out this worksheet as I progress through the notes. So please make sure that you have this open. If you don't have it open yet, go ahead and open it right now. And then we're going to go ahead and get started by talking about William Shakespeare's language. So let me just present this. Move myself out of the way. Okay, so we are talking today about demystifying Will's words. So like I just said, you do need to have the handout open along with this presentation. So we're going to talk in this slideshow today about some of the reasons why Shakespeare is so hard to understand, and then we're going to practice kind of unraveling those different ways that he can be challenging to understand, to see if we can understand what he's saying. So, oops, there we go. Okay, so the first reason that Shakespeare is difficult to understand is that he uses words that we don't use anymore. Okay, so the words are out of date, right? Shakespeare was around in the 1800s, so the words that he used, we don't even use in our language anymore. So what I want you guys to do now is I want you to pause this video, go to the worksheet, and I want you to complete activity 1. Okay, and activity 1, what it's going to be, I'll show you here, is it's going to have all of these sentences, okay, and in these sentences, you are going to have an underlined word, and I want you guys to try to guess what that underlined word is, just based on the context of the sentence. And again, we don't use any of these words anymore, so you are just guessing. Maybe you know because you've heard them before, but my guess is that most of you have never heard these words before. So just take your best guess. So pause the video, go take your guesses, and then come back, and we're going to do the second part. So pause the video now. Okay. So here's the second part. So in the second guess column, I'm going to read each of these sentences to you. And just by me reading it, I want you to see if you can figure out what these words mean. After I read it, I'll tell you the real answer. So you need to put your second guess in, okay? And then we'll come back and then I'll tell you what they actually mean. So we're going to go through all the sentences right now. I'm going to read them. Put your second guess as to what they mean in the second guess column. Okay, so the first sentence. Is the law on our side if I say I? So take your second guess. Sentence 2. 'Tis well thou art not a fish. Okay, number 3. Draw thy tool. Number 4. No, Mary, I fear thee. Number 5. This love thou hast shown doth add more grief to mine own. Those are part of the same sentence. I think this is number 7. Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. Was that the last one? Nope, one more. What? Art thou drawn and talk of peace? Okay, I think that was the last one. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you what all of these sentences mean. Okay. Is that the first one? Yes, that's the first one. Okay, here we go. So is the law on our side if I say yes? Okay, if the law is on our side, say yes. So I, A-Y, means yes. And it's not pronounced A, it's pronounced I. 'Tis well thou art not a fish. Thou means you. So he's saying, 'tis well you are not a fish. Draw thy tool. Thy means your. It's saying, draw your tool. Draw your weapon. No, Mary, I fear thee. Thee means you, right? I fear you. This love thou hast shown. This love you have shown. Okay, so hast means have. Doth add more grief to my own. Doth means does. Does add more grief to mine own. Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. Hath means has. So then she has sworn that she will still live chaste. Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget. Canst means can, okay? Thou can not teach me to forget. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. So to woo somebody, it means to like court somebody or date somebody, right? It's just to like win them over. What? Art thou drawn and talk of peace? Art means are, just A-R-E, are. What? Are you drawn and talk of peace? Okay, so that's activity number 1. You guys are going to need to be familiar with all of those words because you are going to see all of those words in the play. Okay, so hopefully you wrote down the correct answer because you're going to need to know them. So another reason why Shakespeare can be difficult to comprehend is that a lot of his words look the same as the words that we use today, but they have completely different meanings. Okay, so now we're going to do activity 2. So I want you to, again, pause this video and go do activity 2, and then come back and we're going to talk about what all of the words mean. So pause me now. Okay, so hopefully you just filled out activity 2 on your worksheet and you took a guess as to what all of those words mean in those sentences. Now we're going to look at the sentences and I'm going to tell you what the words actually mean. So the first word that we have is draw. Now, normally when we think of draw, right, we think of like pen and paper, drawing, or whatever. But in this sentence, it says, draw if you be men. Gregory, remember thy swashing blow, right? So draw means to pull out your weapon, pull out your sword, because they only had swords back then. Okay, so draw means to pull out your weapon. And then this one, no, Mary, I fear thee. Okay, it's not like Mary, like, dun, 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 like put a ring on it. This one is like, no, I pray, I beg. So this one is like, I'm begging you. And where this comes from, you guys, is the Virgin Mary, right? So it's a form of holiness. And so they're saying like, no, Mary, like I pray to Mary, I pray. So I fear thee. So it's kind of like a form of begging or praying. I strike quickly being moved. Okay, so moved doesn't mean for me to like move my coffee cup from over here to over here. It's not that kind of moved, right? That's what we think that's how we use it. But this one means being like angered. Okay, so I strike quickly, meaning like I will strike them or hit them with my sword or my fist or whatever. Being moved, being angered. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks. This is one of the most famous lines from Romeo and Juliet. And soft doesn't mean like, oh, my sweater is so soft. Okay, it's not that kind of soft. It's weight. But wait, what light through yonder window breaks. Okay, so soft means weight. For what? I pray thee. I pray, sir. Can you read? Okay, so pray here doesn't mean like this kind of pray. It just means I ask. Okay, so for what? I ask thee. I ask, sir, can you read? Okay, so it's just a form of like asking. Examine well your blood. Okay, that does not mean to like look inside of yourself and check out your blood or like cut your finger and look at the blood. No, that's not what this means. Blood here refers to your bloodline or your like family history, right? So what this blood is referring to is examine your history, examine your bloodline, okay, your family, examine well your lineage, that kind of thing. So you can put any of those definitions: lineage, family history, bloodline, anything like that. Okay, so that was activity 2. Another reason why Shakespeare is sometimes difficult to comprehend is that he omits or leaves out words and letters. So an example that we saw in one of our sample sentences is the word tis. Okay, now tis is short for it is. So what he likes to do is he likes to squash words together, and you can tell that he's leaving out a letter if you see this little apostrophe. Okay, we do this too, right? Like we combine this by saying it's, okay, and we say it apostrophe s. So we do this as well. We can combine these two words and put an apostrophe. We just combine them in a different way. Okay, so this one is short for it is, and anytime you see that apostrophe means he's like smushing words together. So you just have to figure out, okay, well, what two words is he smushing together? Another reason he's difficult to understand is that he rearranges words. Now, this one goes along with activity 3. So on activity 3, you guys are going to see a sentence, okay? And the sentence is written how we would say it in our modern day language. Shakespeare didn't write it that way because he likes to completely rearrange the words in a sentence. So I want you to take a guess and see if you can figure out how Shakespeare wrote that sentence on activity 3. So go ahead and pause me and take your guess and then resume. Okay, so the way that Shakespeare actually wrote the sentence, let's see if you got close, was like this. He wrote, that handkerchief did an Egyptian to my mother give. Do you see how crazy that is? Like, no wonder the dude is hard to understand because he mixes up all of his words. Okay, so that is how he actually wrote that line in one of his plays. So I think you need to write that on your worksheet as well. Okay, the last reason that Shakespeare can be difficult to understand is that he completely makes up words. Now, the good news is a lot of the words that he makes up, we now use in everyday language. So look at all of these words. These words did not exist before Shakespeare made them up. Amazement, bedroom, bump, countless, gloomy, hurry, laughable, lonely, rose, sneak, useless, and there's so many more words that Shakespeare made up. This is why he is so famous, because he is really one of the people that created the language that we use today. So the good news is, like, a lot of his made up words we use in everyday language now, so you're going to be able to understand them. However, there are some that he made up that we still don't understand and don't use in our everyday language. So you have to use context clues. Okay, you have to figure out, well, how is it being used in the sentence and what might he be referring to? But this is really why Shakespeare is so famous, is because he played with language in such a way that it really gave us a lot of our foundation for the way that we speak now. Okay, now we also have to talk about iambic pentameter when we're talking about Shakespeare, because Shakespeare is super famous for writing in iambic pentameter. Now, we've already talked about this in our poetry unit at the end of last semester, but just as a refresher, okay, you need to know a couple of definitions here. First, we have to know the definition of iamb. Now, remember, an iamb is a type of meter that's used in poetry that consists of an unstressed followed by a stressed syllable. Ba-dum. Okay, that's an iamb or an iambic foot. Okay, da-dum. And we mark them with the unstressed syllable getting this U marking and a stressed syllable just getting like a slash. Pentameter is 5 sets of iambs. Okay, that's why it's called iambic pentameter. So pent meaning 10. Okay, so 10, or wait, no, that's dick. Pent meaning 5, excuse me. Okay, so pent meaning 5. So 5 iambs, right? Iambic pentameter. So since there are 2 beats in each iamb, da-dum, there are 10 beats in iambic pentameter. Okay, so here would be an example of iambic pentameter. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east and Juliet the sun. Okay, that's iambic pentameter. You can see both of those lines have 5 sets of iambs. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's iambic pentameter. And Shakespeare is really, really famous for writing in iambic pentameter. Sonnets, remember when we did sonnets, there was the Shakespearean sonnet. That's after Shakespeare, because Shakespeare wrote hundreds of sonnets written in iambic pentameter. So he had a sonnet named after him. Okay, so this video is really, really good. This is on slide 29. So what I would like you guys to do, when I play videos over Screencastify, the sound quality is terrible. So if you could actually pause this video and then go to these notes on Google Classroom, I will have posted these notes for you on Classroom, and then just go to slide 29 and play and watch this video right now. That would be fantastic, because it's a really good video that talks more about iambic pentameter. So pause me now and go watch this video and then come back. Okay, so you learned a little bit more about iambic pentameter in this video. Remember the pirate, okay? He's really good at showing you kind of how we mark iambic pentameter. I am a pirate with a wooden leg. And you can really hear it does sound like a heartbeat, right? And that's why Shakespeare writes in iambic pentameter, for all of the reasons that the video explained. But the video also mentioned that he doesn't always write in iambic pentameter, right? A lot of times he just writes normal, which we would call prose, right? He just writes in normal, no like rhyme or syllables or anything like that, just like normal, like you would find in a novel or something like that. So he kind of flip-flops between using prose and using poetry, iambic pentameter, and he does it for a couple of reasons. The first reason that he flip-flops is to distinguish between royalty and commoners. Okay, when royalty and commoners are in a scene together, you're going to notice that the royalty will be speaking in iambic pentameter and the commoners will be speaking in prose. Okay, because poetry is supposed to be more sophisticated and regal, which is why he has his royalty speaking like that, and then the commoners are just speaking in like everyday language. Another reason that he uses a mixture of poetry and prose is to capture the state of mind of a character. And the video mentioned this. Okay, if a character is having really strong emotions, he might speak in poetry to help him kind of express the feeling that the emotion is evoking. And he also does it to create mood. Okay, so the poetry is going to create a more like dramatic mood, like especially if somebody's in love, like Romeo and Juliet, we know is a love story, right? So when Romeo is talking about Juliet or Juliet's talking about Romeo, they're speaking in iambic pentameter because they're trying to mirror that love, that heartbeat that they're feeling for the other person. Okay, he also will flip to prose to create mood. Like if you have a royal person or a person of the upper class who is trying to be really funny or is being really like disgusting and gross, which we're going to see in Romeo and Juliet. Okay, there's some really funny characters in there. But if there's like a person of high class who's kind of stooping down and making some nasty jokes, he'll switch from poetry to prose to kind of show that that person is like lowering their status to create more of a fun atmosphere and a fun mood in the text. So why the heck did Shakespeare do all of these things? Why did he rearrange letters? Why did he make stuff up? Why does he use all of this weird stuff that we just talked about? Few reasons, okay? Sometimes he does it to make the words fit 5 beats. So a lot of times, like when he's mushing words together or leaving out words or letters, it's to make it fit that iambic pentameter, that da-dum, 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 okay? He does that a lot. And sometimes he does it because of the rhyme, like he wants to stay with the rhyme. So if there wasn't a word in his language that would fit with the rhyme, he would just make one up. He was like the Dr. Seuss of the 1800s. And then sometimes because he just liked to play with words, right? This was his job. He was a wordsmith. He liked to put words together in weird ways to see what he could kind of come up with. And he came up with a lot of cool words, right, that we still use today. So the fourth activity that you guys have on your worksheet and the final activity is that you are going to write your own poem. Don't worry, it's a short poem using iambic pentameter. And the reason that I want you guys to do this is because I really want you to appreciate how difficult it is to write in iambic pentameter, because Shakespeare wrote in iambic pentameter all the time, right? And he was really a genius because he did this. So I want you guys to try to write in iambic pentameter. So here are the criteria for your iambic pentameter poems. You're writing 2 lines of iambic pentameter. So that's going to total 20 syllables. But you have to make sure that you're properly doing the stresses. So the video mentioned all of the words in our language, they have stresses in a certain place. But you just have to listen to the word. So for example, let's use the word technology. There are 4 syllables in technology, right? Technology, 4 syllables. Now, only one of those syllables has a stress. Listen, see if you can figure it out. Technology. Do you hear it? Technology. It's the second syllable in that word that gets the stress. Now, according to the rules of iambic pentameter, we have to do unstressed followed by a stressed syllable, right? So that word technology, the pattern for that word is unstressed, stressed, unstressed, unstressed. So the word technology wouldn't actually fit in iambic pentameter. However, if you were Shakespeare, you would make that word fit if you wanted to use that word. So one way that we can do this, let me write this out. Okay. Technology. Okay. So here's the word technology, right? So I told you it has 4 syllables. Technology. Technology. Okay. Now here is the pattern for that word, right? It's unstressed, stressed, unstressed, unstressed. Now, if we were Shakespeare, what we would need to do is we would need to combine these last 2 syllables to make it just one unstressed syllable. So one way that we could do this is we could just go technology. Technology. Okay, so maybe if we wrote it like this, where we only have 3 syllables, technology, right? Then we follow the pattern of unstressed, stressed, unstressed, and then we can use that word in our iambic pentameter poem. Now, of course, if we're leaving out letters, we have to make sure that we put that little apostrophe where we're leaving the letter out. So you would have to write it like this. So you guys are pretending that you're Shakespeare, right? You're writing in iambic pentameter. So remember, Shakespeare did all of these crazy things with language, right? He made up his own words. He rearranged words and letters. He, combined letters and left out letters and words and stuff. Feel free to do that to make your poem fit in iambic pentameter. So feel free to play with words like Shakespeare did to make them fit that unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed pattern. Remember the advice that the video gave you, okay? If you say the word slowly, you can hear where the stress naturally falls in that word. Like if we just say technology, it's a little bit hard to hear where the stress falls, but if you really break it down, technology, then you can hear it. Okay, so if you're struggling with a multisyllabic word, just make sure that you kind of listen to the word being said slowly. So you need to just finish your iambic pentameter poem, and that's the last activity on that worksheet. That worksheet is due by 9 a.m. tomorrow, so just make sure that you get it submitted to the assignment. Tomorrow, we're going to do a little bit of an introduction to the play, and we're going to talk about some more concepts that you're going to see arise in Romeo and Juliet. We're going to talk about the characters, so you guys kind of know who to keep your eye out for. And then next week, we will actually start reading the play. And don't worry, I know you don't have physical copies of the book with you. I have a digital link that I will be sharing with you guys come Monday and reading time. Okay, I'm super excited to start this play with you guys. I hope that I got you a little bit excited about it as well. This is just an absolutely iconic play, so it is going to be so much fun, and I really hope I can make you appreciate it virtually. If you have any questions, please email me or hop on my office hours from 9:50 to 10:40. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.